Hey, it's Heba. Welcome to my cozy den. I was really excited to film this video and I just wanted like a different scene. I wanted to feel really cozy, and my cat is here and I got tea. So yeah, I just wanted to feel relaxed and cozy as I film this video. So I'm starting up my YouTube channel again, as you know. And so I was looking back in some old folders of videos that I had made like 2 years ago. And I was so surprised what I looked like. I was really surprised what I looked like then in those videos, and then what I looked like in the current videos I had just filmed. And I couldn't believe how much kind of like slimmer I looked, and just, I don't know, I guess like to my eye, I seemed more calm or pretty or I don't know, just different and kind of tan. And it kind of made me think of my weight loss and my weight gain journey, because even when I filmed those videos I had gone through a lot of ups and downs. I am most likely going to be talking about disordered eating, so if that's something that you don't like to listen to for your own well-being, go ahead and skip this video. And I'll catch you on the next one. I wasn't like a chubby kid. I was, I guess, just kind of neutral in a healthy weight category. But my whole entire family was obsessed with weight. Everyone was always like on a diet or concerned about weight or talking about how they looked, and I just kind of like integrated that into how I was. So it didn't matter what I looked like. I just figured that I should be insecure about it and that it was wrong and that I needed to be like constantly dieting. And I had some impediments to physical activity when I was younger. I think that's a whole other video. But I always wanted to be really physically active, and I just couldn't for certain reasons. Also, I had a very traumatizing childhood. A lot of us have. And I don't know, I'm not really worried about it so much anymore. I've done a lot of healing and a lot of forgetting and forgiving and moving forward. But I only say this because when I started making my own money and was able to spend my own money and was able to kind of escape a little bit and have time for myself, I found comfort in binge eating, which obviously at the time I didn't know was a thing. In fact, I didn't know what was happening, but I do remember that one day, I was like a teenager, so maybe 16, 17. One day I woke up, I was sleeping on my arm, and my arm, I looked at it, and it looked like it had quadrupled in size because my head was resting on it, and it was like a second pillow. And I was like, wow, when did my arm get so big? I don't know if it's like an obvious thing. I guess it's obvious to me now. Binge eating and dissociating really went hand in hand. I mean, it's kind of, I think like any addiction or thing that we do to distract from our current reality, it's kind of like, I wasn't there. Like I was just soothing myself, and it didn't matter, or I didn't recognize what it was doing to me. I was just like, whatever, like this is my peace. And I would binge eat. I mean, chips. Like the first time I did it, I remember it was a giant bag of Doritos, and there was no one there, and so no one could catch me with it. And I could just hide it, and I felt so satisfied and so happy. And again, this wasn't really registering. This is more like in retrospect of what was happening. We ate fairly healthy in my household. Like my parents cooked every single meal. They hated going out to eat. Some people in the family got jobs like elsewhere, like fast food places and stuff while we were growing up. So we got some introduction to fast food. But even so, it wasn't really like a welcomed thing, and it was very small portions. Both my parents were kind of overweight, but it wasn't from like eating too much of bad food. I would say it's eating too much of home-cooked healthy meals. But I attribute most of my issues with food from the mentality my family had about bodies and weight, and also when I found comfort in binge eating. Once I discovered that, it was kind of downhill from there. I would say that things still weren't that bad. I was definitely putting on weight very quickly, even though like my whole life everything was focused around losing weight. Even when I didn't need to lose weight, it was just like a mentality that we had. Yeah, I started rapidly gaining weight, I would say like my last year in high school, and things were very turbulent in my household, and there was like an abrupt move. I had a lot more access to my own money and space that I could kind of escape to. I just kept taking comfort in this overeating. I was still kind of okay health-wise and like largeness wise. But yeah, I ran away from home around 18 years old, and it was like very difficult to transition into like the normal world and figure out what the heck I was doing. And I would say like it was very rocky for a while, and then I kind of started to level out and understand like what I'm supposed to do in the world and get a job and stuff like that. My first apartment where I felt comfortable and I lived alone, I had my job and I was stable, I would say I would see quite the boom in my weight gain because I had all of this unprocessed trauma. I hadn't really processed anything about my childhood, my running away, which is like another very traumatic event. I just hadn't processed any of it. I was really just trying to survive at that point and figure out what I was doing and just be safe. Yeah, once everything was quiet and I could just like be with myself, I was in full-blown comfort and soothing mode. I have depression. I like to say I had depression, but anyway. So that was like obviously coming and going. So yeah, I would binge eat. I mean, this was like the glory of my binge eating days because I had no one knowing where I was, knowing what I was doing. And I just felt safe in my little apartment watching movies and binge eating. And I had a teeny tiny TV and I had a DVD player. And I had like maybe 2 or 3 DVDs. So I just like played the same movies over and over. And I remember one of them was, what was that movie? Super Size Me. So I would watch Super Size Me on like repeat and just like binge eat Chinese food, mostly Chinese food, probably chips, gosh, who knows what else. But yeah, I definitely had a boom in my weight gain at that point. And I'd say probably a year after that, I started wanting to level out in a good way. And I started food tracking. So at that point, I don't know of any, there was no like apps. I mean, maybe MyFitnessPal was like a browser. I don't know. But I didn't know about it. It wasn't as popular. Maybe made an Excel sheet. And that's how I would track my calories. And also at that time, it was kind of hard to figure out how, like, what calories were in what. So I had to kind of guesstimate, like, if I was to go eat out, how many calories that was. I joined a gym and I started calorie tracking. And I did see some progress, but also I had no real understanding of my body or fitness or food. Like, there were so many disconnections there because I had such a disconnection with, like, myself. So even though I was doing well and I remember being much happier at that time, I wasn't seeing, like, a massive change. I mean, I might have been changing, but it was kind of like I just didn't know how anything was supposed to work. So that was like the beginning of many cycles of dieting and cleansing. Remember those cleanses? They were like really popular at that time. I was in a relationship at that point. I was like in this constant state of I'm trying to lose weight, even though I had no idea what I was doing. I had a severe disconnection between me and me eating. And I didn't know how much I was supposed to move my body. That was that. Years are going by. I move, that relationship ends. I'm not sure what happened. Like, I was just living my life, doing many things, and I got to a period where I started overeating really intensely again, and I really didn't even notice anything had changed with my body until I was walking out of the house one day and there was a mirror and I turned to the side and I didn't realize how wide I had become, like from the side, because I was always looking at myself straight on. Like that kind of woke me up, as well as we had gone on vacation and I definitely felt less able-bodied. I was very like scared to do things. I felt really heavy. I felt uncoordinated, which was a huge thing for me. I didn't have good coordination. I was just kind of like dragging my body along with me. And I remember it happened in tandem where I saw that reflection in the mirror. I was so sick of not doing things because I felt like I couldn't physically do it. I felt like really sad about that. So that I would say was a huge turning point for me. That was maybe 2017. At that point, I weighed myself and hadn't weighed myself in a really long time. I would say the highest I had been in the past was 200 pounds. I'm 5'6". At that point, I weighed myself and I hadn't in a long time. I was 235 and I was like, uh-oh. Uh-oh. I was so burnt out on dieting, like I just didn't know what else to do, and I remember I was crying and screaming in my car, as we do. It's kind of like praying about it, like what can I do differently, like why is this so hard for me, what am I doing wrong? I was trying all these like weird things, trying to think really creatively, and I remember as I prayed that the answer that came was like, stop trying to, what's that phrase? Something like, it's not rocket science. Stop like trying to do everything in such a unique way. It's formulaic. Go simple, go easy. I was like, yeah, okay. I can just follow like an easier path, something more simple. Just started trying to be not on a diet, not doing some crazy stuff, but just to figure out what kinds of foods I could eat that would make me feel full, but that weren't super calorie dense. At this time too, I was really lucky because there was a lot more information on calories. There was a lot more browsers and apps to use, and there was YouTube. I got to find other girls that had gone through some kind of transformative weight process to feel inspired by them. And actually someone that really inspired me was Julian Salamita, Jenna Marble's boyfriend, if anybody remembers. I guess it's her husband now. Because his very early videos, he was doing Olympic powerlifting, and I didn't know what it was, and I just remember watching him do it on YouTube and thinking, what is that? That is so cool. Like I just wanted to participate in it. I also found like Whitney Simmons and Megan Grubb and Karis. I think she's Karis Whitaker now. These people help keep me going and keep me inspired and keep me interested in the journey. I started doing a lot of research on diet. I kind of came to accept like, okay, I think I'm someone who just eats a lot. So how can I eat a lot and be healthy? And so I think that's how I found some of these girls on YouTube. I think I was searching like, how do you speed up your metabolism? I tried cinnamon, high fiber meals, eating more frequently, high protein, and of course, weightlifting. Weightlifting is huge for boosting your metabolism, or so that's what I was gathering from my research. So I was like, okay, I can do this. So I started incorporating protein in every single one of my meals. I started incorporating a lot of fiber in every single one of my meals. And I started seriously weightlifting. Like I had messed around in the gym before on like circuit machines on and off for what seems like my whole life. But this was like weightlifting. I had kind of like a plan, okay? Protein, fiber, which is a lot of fruits and vegetables and a lot of like grains, and weightlifting. That was going to be my plan on how I was going to successfully lose weight this time and feel good in my body and feel able-bodied. I'm gonna do a part 2 to this because it's getting long. It's getting longer than I intended. Stay tuned. I'm gonna post part 2 right after I post this one. I will see you soon. Bye.